Okay, so we're working on the third clarinet concerto of Carl Stamitz. Yeah. Anything you can tell me about this composer? No? All right.
His dates are right there.
Yeah, those are his dates for sure. Yeah.
Through 1801.
So he was part of. What were you going to say?
Classical, right?
Classical, very early classical.
Yeah.
Also, the important thing to know is that he was part of a group of composers who later became called the Mannheim School. So these were composers that were based out of Mannheim, which was a very important court orchestra at the time, the biggest, best, and well-known orchestra. And so he was really fundamental in beginning to write concerti for clarinet. So it really helped to solidify the instrument as one of the instruments of the orchestra now. So really important composer for us. And what a great key for this to be in, right?
I know.
B flat, perfect key. All right, so I know we're going to start here, but just to talk a little bit about the form of a concerto, can you tell me anything about what's happening at the beginning? Why aren't you playing at the beginning? Very beginning?
Because it's the orchestra, and
Yeah.
I'm playing the solo part, so it's just me in front of the orchestra.
Right.
The orchestra's kind of background.
The orchestra's playing in the background, yeah. But sometimes the orchestra is at the fore, right? So like at the beginning.
Like it's it's like introducing the piece.
Yeah, what is that called, do you know? When you introduce something for the first time? It's called an exposition, right? So like it's not a form,
Yeah.
not an exposition. Right, and so in a concerto like this of the common practice period, or the classical period, we have double exposition format, which means first there's an orchestral exposition, and the soloist gives, in this case you, right, with the solo exposition. So some important things to know as we go through the piece about sort of how the form's set up. These are important things to know. All right, you want to blow a few notes first? Are you ready to go? So let's stop here. So you've had your exposition,
Yes.
You've exposed the first theme, given it to us, and then we have a second theme, right?
Yes.
So there's two themes. What's one thing that's different from the first theme than the second theme?
There's more notes and more measures.
There's more notes,
And it's
yeah.
like more like ornamental.
The second theme.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nice. Also, what about dynamically?
It seems to be louder in the second theme.
Yeah, well, I mean, here at the beginning, right, we start mezzo forte, which means what, by the way? How would you translate mezzo forte?
It's like a medium volume,
Yeah.
medium to low.
Medium strong,
Yeah.
right? Medium strong, okay. So again, remember that this is the very first time that you play. So you really want to have sort of a commanding presence. Now, if you notice at the very beginning, the orchestral exposition starts piano, right? Okay, so this will be a contrast from when you're playing with orchestra or piano, right? So sort of keep those things in mind. Now, let's talk about a couple of other things. First of all, the orchestral exposition ends like this. we want to come in the same color, the same sort of size of sound that's left off here, that's given to us, and we're really going to literally grab the baton or take the baton,
Yes.
right? It's passing the baton. So I'm going to play this, and then I want you to come in, okay? Good. So already to me, that's much more strong, it's fuller, and you're already ready to go up here, right? Okay, so I'd like you to try that once. Dun, 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 and I'll play the
Okay.
exposition. Okay, let's switch, and you'll go on this time. Yeah, nice. Okay, how do you like that?
Sounds better.
Yeah,
Now that I-
what does better mean in
Like,
this case?
it sounds like there's better dynamics and better clarity with the notes.
Yeah, and what about, how do you feel? Do you feel any differently than?
I feel more confident.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, right? Okay, so again, practicing, even just those two measures right before you come in, hand it right off to yourself, I think is an effective exercise for you. Because again, you're ready.
Yes.
You're ready, right? You're already thinking in time, you're thinking like you're going to be a part of the piece versus the orchestra's done, now it's me, right? It's like, here you go, right? That's the kind of attitude that we want. Now, in this style of music, there is some sort of interchanging you can do with the articulation that's written
Yeah.
versus what you play. Okay, so I don't know if you're aware of it. Maybe you are, but here you're slurring all those.
Yeah.
Okay? Which could be fine because maybe that's what you want to do. But I guess the point I'm trying to bring across is make sure you know what you're doing,
Yes.
and that that's what you want to do. Okay. Now, me personally, I prefer the articulation
Yeah.
that's written. For me, it just lends to the line a little bit more. Okay. But the things you want to be sure of is that you're in time, okay, and that you're consistent with what you do. So. When you're practicing, I would encourage you to try all different kinds of articulation on those triplets. Now, let's talk a little bit about organization of the notes. So, because sometimes we have to look beyond the bar lines that are written to really see how the piece is formatted. So, at the beginning, I feel it's more like. Okay, so that's the micro. So we have a bar and a beat here. Ba-da-beat-up-bum. You think ba-da-beat-up-bum. Beat-up-beat-up-up-beat-up-up-up-bum. Notice this is the same size as well. Okay. So here's what I like to do. I'm going to play this and hand it off to you here, and you're going to hand that to me. Okay. Now let's switch. Okay, so you start it. Yeah, nice. Now do that once by yourself. And I'll play this for you.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, nice. So even more now, right? Okay. Even more, it's coming together now, which I really like. Okay, so some people would call this a question. Some people would call that an answer.
Oh,
Okay.
like calling.
Yeah.
response.
Sort of call and response. But you're having a conversation with yourself. Mi fa la so la fa mi re re. Right? Okay. So if I were going to organize this on paper, I'd go beat up ba, beat up ba. Beat up ba ba beat up ba. Now, one thing you might notice here is that there's two repeated notes here and there's two repeated notes there. I like to call repeated notes attention-getting notes. Okay, so somehow the composer really wants us to hear those. In this case, it's to establish the harmony. Okay, so if I were playing this slow motion, practicing. for me slowly? Yeah, so one more time. I'm going to play it once. Nice, so put it together. Good, try it one more time. Good, now I just want you to go. Yeah, so the second note gets a little more attention that way, okay? So, now as written. Good, now put all this together for me here. When you get to this C here, just hold it up.
Oh.
So, sorry, before you start, make sure you think of this. Nice. So that's a little snapshot of the first thing, right? Okay. Now, what's going to take this up to the next level is we have to say totally, right? So there's not a lot of rubato in classical music, right? That's saved for the next era of music, which is what comes after the classical era. No, comes after the classical era. Romantic era, right?
Oh.
So composers like Brahms, Bruckner.
Oh,
it's okay. All right, so let's just go this tempo. This is 100. I know you have 116 and 120, which is totally reasonable. Yeah. Okay. So let's just hear it at this tempo. So I'm thinking the beginning. Yum dum da dum dum dim dum da dum. Fa la la so fa mi mi re do ti do. Yeah, nice. I like that real well. Okay. So I'm going to play all this, and then you're going to come in here on the C. Okay. Go on. So for the most part, the tempo was very good, except for these two bars, right? Now, what's different about the notes in these two bars than the rest of the introduction, really?
They're triplets.
They're triplets, right? Okay, so we have a totally different rhythm to deal with. So that's one of the things, right? So one thing that will help you is this, if on this first quarter note, you start subdividing that triplet. Now, you can't subdivide any before that. Why?
Because they're eighth notes.
Because they're eighth notes, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking. Okay, will you do that once for me? Let's turn on the metronome. Oh. There we go.
Wait, from where?
Well, you can start right here. La, sol, fa, mi, mi, re, do, ti, do, do, do. Yeah, good. Listen, yeah, I know there's a little foul up there, but already that's so much better, right? Because you're absolutely thinking the subdivision here, so you're prepared. Like at the beginning, we set ourselves up to be prepared. That's so important, right? You see the value of it. One more time. Grace, thank you. So, what's that?
I think I rushed it still a little.
A little bit here, yeah, but better than on the triplets, so that was really great. So, a couple things about triplets when I work with them is that I find that for me and my students, the second note of the triplet doesn't get enough time, so it rushes. So I think one thing, and you can erase this later, of course, is to really go to the second note. Can you try that for me once? Yeah, one more time. Oh, good. You're already adding your ornamentation in. That's wonderful. Okay, last time, same thing. Good. And by the way, do you notice what, at least in this first two beats, the middle notes outline? Chord, the triad, right?
Yeah.
And you notice
It's always a third.
they're
and
the
it's
same.
the same like pitches.
Right, just an octave apart.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good point for you to focus on. For me, focusing on things like this helped me to stay in time because time's so important. And we play the clarinet, so we would just want to take off all the time, right? So, but again, in this music, we absolutely have to stay in time. Okay. All right. So the next thing is, what happens here that's different than what's happened these two beats?
It's going down and it's a different triad.
Right. So it changes directions, good, and it changes harmony is very important. So for me, the note before a direction change becomes more important, okay, than the rest. Well, not more important, but becomes very important in this case because you want to highlight the change.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, slow motion, just practicing. I think this. Okay, so I'm taking a little more time here before I go down.
Time away.
Yeah. Now, why did I take time here?
Because it's leading to the leap. On the
Yeah, right.
top.
So also the note before a leap gets a little more time than we think. Okay? So try that for me. Ba-da-da-dee-da-da, dee-da-da-da, ba-da-da-dee-da-da, be-da-da-da-da-dee-da. Good. Yeah, really nice, Grace. So already that's coming along together. Now, the next step for you is going to be in your practice session to start practicing with a metronome.
Yes.
Yeah, really aggressively. And also subdivide as much as you can out loud. Okay, so here you might even take it to the next level and yeah, so 16ths. The other thing that does, Grace, is it keeps you active here, and the music's always moving. So there's never time to just be like, right? Go through the subdivision. Okay, so there's that. Now, let's marry this all together, and I'd like you to play from the beginning, just to this G here. When you get to here, hold it out. Thinking of that, and then start. Yeah, nice. How'd you feel about that?
Sounded much better.
Yeah, it sounded much better. And I can tell you feel confident. And you're singing now. That's so important, right? Really important that we sing through the instrument. Do you notice something that's happening consistently on the last triplet of every beat?
Play them very short, or I just like rush through them.
Yeah, they're out of time, right? They're a little bit out of time. So let's work on a strategy for you to be able to work on this when we're not together, right? Okay, so going to our second note of each triplet, I'd like to hear you go. Try that for me once. So I'm going fa re ti do, fa re ti do. Again. Nice, Grace. So, what did we do? Practice, right?
And we
How did
just
we
problem solved. And
problem
fixed,
solve? We thought about what was really the issue, right? The issue
Yeah.
was the notes aren't even, okay? What note tends to not be even in a triplet? Or get the least love in a
Second.
triplet? The second note. So we went to the second note, then finished the triplet, okay?
Mhm.
So what you did up here was reset your brain. You retrained yourself to play this in time and to aim for a certain note. That's the key here, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's the goal. Okay, so now moving on to these notes, which are perfectly even in the 16ths.
Yes.
Which is weird because those are the fastest notes that you have, right? So for me, it's usually the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, but very, very nicely done. So if you keep the integrity of these 16th notes and all of this stuff before and everything that comes after it, I think you're going to be in great shape.
Yes.
Okay, so let's jump down now to this theme. Okay,
Okay.
so what key are we in, Grace?
D minor.
Well, what key is this movement in?
C major.
C major, right? B flat concert, C major. Okay. And what is B in C major?
B. Right. B and C major is a 7.
Yeah, what do we call that scale degree?
The. No.
Yeah.
The
Well, what is it a half step away from?
B. C.
From C, right? So B is a half step away from C. So
So. It's not T. I know it's T.
leading tone.
Leading tone.
Right?
Okay.
It's the
I was
leading
like,
tone. So
I was thinking the wrong way. So
yeah,
I was like, it's not subtonic. That's not.
right. Well, kind of is subtonic, but that
Yeah.
we use that term in a different way. But it's called the leading tone because it leads us to tonic, which in this case, like you said, is C. Okay. So know that he's really messing with the harmony here, right?
Mhm.
It's something totally different. This is all very clearly C major. So we're going somewhere else, right? And I think you have a good idea where we're going, but let's get through it a little bit more. So start here for me. Yeah, nice, Grace, nice. Will you play all this for me with no register key? So you're gonna finger the notes the same way, save, you won't open this. Yeah, nice. I know it's a little weird, right? Tell me, what was different about you playing it with the register key than without? Some things you might have noticed.
It's easier to like bring out the note, like since it's lower, it's not as resistant as playing the higher note, and you don't need as much air.
Ah, okay, so this is an interesting idea, right?
Mhm.
That it's easier to play the lower notes, okay? Well, I contend that it's just as easy to play the upper notes because, in fact, we don't play them, the clarinet does, right?
Yes.
How does the clarinet play them? It's magic. All right, so we're going to have a little meeting with the truth, okay? The truth is that the clarinet plays all these notes. We just give it our air, put our fingers in the right place, pretty much, right? Okay. I open up this key, which opens up the tiniest hole we have on the clarinet to open up, right? And that's what plays the notes. That's what overblows the 12th, right? We call this our what key? Register key, right? So, in fact, when I'm playing this without the register key, right? I know it's funny. Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do, Grace. I'd like you to play the low E. Okay, go ahead and play it. And I'm going to open the register key. Ah! Okay. Did you notice what happened to the B after I opened up the key for you?
The 12.
Up to the 12th, yeah. And what happened after we jumped the 12th? Did you notice anything?
There was like a little like silence, and then it played. You know?
Yeah. I also heard this. I heard you push that note, which tells me that you've trained your brain to to think that it's so much harder to play these higher notes. There's more resistance, you need more air, when in fact, it's the very same. Okay? What I want you to focus on this time is feeling the vibrations of the instrument once with no register key.
Like, do I play it?
Yeah,
Oh,
play those 3 bars. That's okay. Vibrate, vibrate, feel it shaking in your hands. Good. Now look at your register key. Here's your meeting with the truth. Is that right? It's just hello. It's a tiny little key you open, and that's what plays the notes, not grace, right? The clarinet. Remember, the clarinet's been through over 300 years of technological advancement, right? So we've got almost everything figured out except how to practice for us, right? which is what I'm waiting for the clarinet to figure out. All right, so remembering these vibrations, think about it just for a moment. Okay, remember your little meeting with the truth. Now play as written. Good. One more time. Remember what that low E feels like. Try. Yeah, nice, Grace. Much different experience now, right? Okay. Now you can work on what you want to do with the volume. Okay. But I feel like that first note came out so easy it surprised you a bit, right? Because I thought you'd come back a little. Yeah. So you know, play this game with yourself, trying to remember the truth that the clarinet plays these notes, not us, right? Okay. Take the ego out of it. Some people might say. All right, darn, nice. Okay, now tell me something about what's different from this note to this note. Obviously, they're different pitches, right?
There's a trill in the
but
first
even if you
note,
take
and
out the
then,
trill,
like,
what's physically different from the B to the A?
so for B, it's all the fingers. And
Yeah.
A.
So all the resistance we can possibly have to practically nothing,
Yes.
right? Okay. So what I want you to do this time, Grace, as you play this, I want you to imagine that, because you're pushing all the air out of the bell into the floor.
Okay.
Okay? So let that be your focus this time, all the way through the A. I'm going to keep doing this to remind you as you play. Okay? Down, down, down. Ah! Do you hear how lovely that note tone A was? So this happens to me all the time too. So I have to remind myself to keep going to, and literally in my mind, for me, it works for me.
Sit down.
I'm yelling it I'm screaming it at the top of my mind, right? In my head as I play. Yeah, so down, 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 down. Sounds like I'm talking to my dog, right? Down. All right, so I try to think of this all the time that I play. Because if you don't think that, here's what happened on your A. And of course, I'm going to over-exaggerate, but... Right? It's 2 different voices.
Yeah.
Now it's 1, okay? Because that's the thing that we can do, is always be the same. And not allow the change of the clarinet, because again, the clarinet's responsible for playing the notes. We're just literally changing the resistance, right? Everything else has to stay stable. Okay, so very good. Now, let's do this. Let's marry this all together. So start at the beginning, okay? Tell me some things you're going to think about before you start.
I'm going to think about the beat, the measure before.
Right, so the end of the orchestral exposition where they hand you the baton, right? Okay.
The subdivisions.
Nice, yeah.
Boom. Mine stopped thinking.
Ah, maybe that's a good thing in this case, right? We overthink things sometimes. Maybe that's a good thing. Down, down, right? Down with the air.
Yeah.
So the important thing about the down is through the bell to the floor.
Yes.
Okay.
And then also the beat that doesn't get, or like the note that doesn't get much in the triplet.
Which is which one?
The second.
The second one, nice.
And then, like, which phrases go with what?
Yeah, so the overall organization,
Yeah.
what I like to call the micro of the macro phrases, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's plenty to think of, isn't it?
I don't know how I know.
No, I think that's good. The last thing I want you to remember is that when you get to here, the clarinet plays those notes, not Grace,
Yes.
right? So it doesn't take more embouchure, it doesn't take more air.
Mhm.
It takes you going plap, and it's done. It's played, right? Okay, let's hear it, Grace. Yeah, nice. That was very good.
Yay.
Yeah. Did you like that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, me too. And I can tell you enjoy it. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, were you thinking before the very first time you put all this? Of course,
Yes.
right? So now I think you've just changed the focus to something different, and it's allowed you to open up,
Yeah.
and that's lovely. Okay, so again, it's about these mind games
Yes.
that we play with ourselves. They can be so detrimental, right?
Yes.
Our minds are terrible things sometimes, right? So know that in your practice session, I would consider doing stuff like this. Okay. Now, before you have all these articulated 16ths, I would absolutely think the 16th note. Now,
Yeah.
you might not be able to subdivide at this tempo. It might be a little challenging, but you can. I mean, what I mean to say is absolutely subdivide,
Yes.
but you can't play the subdivisions
Yes.
at this tempo.
Yes.
So it might complicate things more. So what can you do? You can at least think eighth. You can at least play eighth notes. Ba dee da dee da da. Ba dee da dee da da. Ba dee da dee da dee da. Bum bum dee da 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 dee. Right?
Yeah.
Try that for me once. Dum da 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 dee da 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 dee. Or whatever articulation you use.
Okay.
Good. Did you start here?
Yeah, no.
Okay, you started here.
Oh wait, I did start there. Sorry, I
You
got
played
it
it
up
first.
sharp.
Yeah,
I just
good, okay.
didn't realize that when I did that.
That's okay. And then this note, did you notice anything about it
It
time-wise?
was shorter.
It was shorter. So on that note already, you know, even in your breathing, start thinking eighth notes. Da 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 da. Okay, try it. Almost. How many eighth notes will we get here?
5.
Yeah, that's right.
You're like.
I want you to play two.
Oh.
Da 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 dee da 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 dee. Da dee da dee da dee da. Da dee da dee da dee. Good. So this one you jumped
Yeah,
in
I
just a
did.
little bit.
I
Okay. Now what articulation are you using when you articulate, Grace?
Trying to do it. Staccato.
Yeah. I mean, what I mean is like, what syllable are you thinking about?
Ta 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 ta.
Ta ta ta. Okay. Have you ever heard of ch?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think no matter what you say, you want to make sure you're really saying it. So if you're going to use ta, let's ta it, you and I together as written here. 1, 2. We'll just without playing. 1, 2. Ta 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 ba bi da ta 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 ti ba bi da ta 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 ti. Good. I'm going to play it now while you ta it. Okay. 1, 2.
Sorry.
Let's switch. 1, 2. Ta 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 da dee da dee da dee da ta 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 da dee da dee da dee da ta 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 ta. Good. So what did you consistently notice happen on the tie? Did you notice?
Dragged a little.
Yeah, you held it a little too long, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which we all do,
Yes.
I think, on ties, or really rush them, right? But my tendency is to want to hold them too long,
Yeah.
okay? So, in order to combat that, you're going to start without the tie. Ta 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 ta. Okay? Ta 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 ta.
Okay. I got what you mean.
So. By the way, what is that?
It's a scale.
It's a scale. They're all scales going down, right? You're going down by a step.
Yes.
On each one. Well, the first one's a half step and then this one, right? Okay, so something to keep in mind. It gives you a place to aim for while you're playing.
Mm-hmm.